Good afternoon. My name is Lindsay Danilla. I'm the Director of Community Initiatives and Development for Reach Edmonton, our Council for Safe Communities. I'd like to welcome all of you here today to Edmonton's Sexual Exploitation Week of Awareness. It's our opening ceremony, and we're always delighted to be here. I'm also very pleased to recognize Councillor Scott McKeen, who's part of the platform this afternoon, Councillor Bev Esslinger, and I think there might be a couple more who are going to join us. We will recognize them as they come out of community services this afternoon. We also have others on our stage this afternoon, our elder Tom Snow, a performer Amanda Lamott, who's going to perform, Kathleen Quinn, and Staff Sergeant James Clover. They're all able to join with us today. The Sexual Exploitation Working Group is a leadership group working collaboratively to create awareness of sexual exploitation and sex trafficking and its causes and impacts. I always say when the group invites me here every year very kindly to be the Master of Ceremonies or the Mistress of Ceremonies, that I wish that this was an event that I simply did not have to do. It's one of those that we'd rather not have happen, but it's an incredibly important event to remember what is going on in our community. Reach Edmonton is a proud member of SEWG and one of the partners invested in this week's activities. As the Council for Safe Communities, we are the backbone community-based organization working to mobilize and coordinate the various organizations, community groups, and Edmontonians to find innovative solutions to community safety and prevention. The communities that make up Edmonton rest on Cree land. We always refer to this as Treaty 6 land. In 2006, the Urban Aboriginal Accord Relationship Agreement came into being. This is a principle-based relationship agreement which respects Aboriginal people's history in Edmonton and guides new ways of working together to build relationships of respect. So today we have an elder who is going to share the opening ceremony to recognize this. Elder Tom Snow, Tatagagang, from Stoney Indian Reserve in Morley, Alberta. Tom has been working with families most of his life. His main emphasis has been on historical trauma and cultural revitalization. Tom is going to do a smudge, first here, then he is going to be on the edges of what is really, I guess, a semicircle here, Tom, Elder Tom. And I invite you to join with him in this special moment of prayer. Thank you. Would you all please stand? Thank you.
We're done.
Thank you.
Okay, and that's going to continue to burn for.
Is it going to continue to burn?
Yeah.
Okay. Kathleen, would you like the flowers up here? I think some people could see them. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Elder Tom. Please be seated. It's now my great pleasure to introduce Kathleen Quinn, who is, as many of us know, a tour de force behind so many of these insightful moments. And so I'm inviting Kathleen to come up as chairperson of SEWG for the next portion of the program.
Good afternoon. It's important that we gather here in this public space. It's important also to remember those who have been murdered and who have died in our city. These orange flowers here today symbolize the more than 38 women who are known to be murder victims in our city in the last 31 years. Only 11 of those murders have been solved. There are many, many more in our community, women, men, transgendered, who have died of the consequences of sexual exploitation and sex trafficking. So I invite you to remember them. And as we remember them, please remember their families, their communities, who live with this unending anguish and grief. And part of remembering is to move us forward into prevention, into healing, and into changing what hurts and harms people and our communities. So if you could just take a brief moment of silence to remember all who are affected. I'd like to invite Amanda Lamotte to come forward and offer us music, which is part of our communal healing. Thank you, Amanda.
What a beautiful, clear sound. I'm sure that baby can hear it as well. She's due in August. I now want to introduce the members of the Edmonton Sexual Exploitation Working Group that we affectionately call SEWG. SEWG is concerned for those who are vulnerable to sexual exploitation and sex trafficking due to age, financial desperation, migration, homelessness, prior childhood abuse or neglect, mental and physical health conditions, intergenerational trauma, addiction, or any other circumstance that contributes to vulnerability. The group works to reduce the market demand and focuses on those who prey upon, profit from, violate and buy services from vulnerable persons of any age or persons in vulnerable circumstances. So I'm going to call out the organizations, and if you represent that organization, you can stand, you can wave. It's entirely up to you. So starting with ACT Alberta, Bent Arrow Traditional Healing Society, Catholic Social Services, Pasika, CEASE, the Center to End All Sexual Exploitation, the Edmonton and Area Child and Family Services, Pasika, City of Edmonton, the City Council Liaison Representative, the Community Services Representative, and the Multicultural Relations Representative. The Edmonton Police Service Vice Unit. Reach Edmonton, Don't Hide, I know who you are. Sexual Assault Center of Edmonton and the Family Center. So Kathleen, now for the big moment, would you come forward and please receive the proclamation from Councillor McKeen to proclaim this week of awareness?
I will hold this for now. I will hold this for now, and thank you to everybody for coming out. I don't get to make a speech, but I need to acknowledge my council colleague, Bev Esslinger, and her work with her Women's Initiative and also the Gender-Based Violence Initiative. So thank you, Bev, for all the work you do, and I do get to give this proclamation to Kathleen Quinn, the chair of the Sexual Exploitation Working Group. And I've known Kathleen for years, and I am moved by the work that she's done over the years, the indefatigable work that she's done in personally helping those that are victims of sex trafficking and sexual exploitation, and the work she's done to remind this entire community of the need to pause and look at harsh things that are going on in our community and an injustice that must be righted. So I'm thrilled to give this proclamation to Kathleen, and the proclamation reads, whereas sexual exploitation crosses all social and economic boundaries, and whereas sexual exploitation is a significant issue in Edmonton with a severe negative effect on individuals, their families, and our communities. And whereas community organizations, law enforcement, government agencies, and elected leaders are collaborating to address and prevent sexual exploitation. And whereas raising awareness of the effects of sexual exploitation can help remove its stigma and provide opportunities for victims to heal. Therefore, I, Scott McKeen, on behalf of Mayor Don Iveson, do hereby proclaim April 20th to 24th, 2015, Sexual Exploitation Week of Awareness in Edmonton, Alberta's capital city. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Councillor McKeen. And for those of you who think he might not be wearing orange, please flash your cufflinks. Councillor Knack, I see you back there. Good to see you. If you'd like to join us in the front, that's up to you. Okay. SEWG does a tremendous amount of work that, for most of the year, of course, we don't hear anything about this, but there are projects that are ongoing. And this year, SEWG partnered with a youth program to develop a short documentary on youth perspectives of sexual exploitation and sex trafficking. The video will be followed by a campaign designed by the youth, inviting Edmontonians to listen and learn from what our youth are experiencing. And by doing so, we can all take action and help shape a future without sexual exploitation. So is Crystal Wallishan out there? Perfect. If you would please come up. She's a member of the SEWG working group. She's going to introduce the films and the youth who were involved.
Thank you. And a round of applause for these remarkable young people here. It is important that young people have the opportunity to share their perspectives of sexual exploitation and human trafficking. Not only are youth affected by these issues, but they also have the power to make real change for the future. I had the privilege of working with these remarkable young people here to develop 2 films that we will be premiering this afternoon. These films were designed, directed, and filmed by the youth themselves, and they capture their perspectives of sexual exploitation and human trafficking. 2 of these youth will be speaking with us today, and I will first introduce Courtney, who is a student at Inner City High School. Courtney has enthusiastically participated in events with the Inner City Youth Leadership Group to learn about social justice. She also participated with the Mayor's Task Force to End Poverty and provided her input on how poverty impacts education. Courtney took part in the production of the first film we will be showing today, entitled Grace.
Hello, I'm Courtney. The reason why I wanted to take part in this is because sexual exploitation is or has been an ongoing situation for many, many years. And I want to get the message out there that these girls and individuals, they don't want to be there. And I want to break the myths. So here is our film.
I'm feeling kind of nervous. You don't have to do this if you don't want to.
No, I want people to know what happened. Okay, I guess I met him on Facebook. He messaged me saying I was cute and asked me if I was single. He kept calling me beautiful, and we kept talking for a few weeks. And he finally asked me on a date, so I said yes. He took me to a fancy restaurant, and it was so romantic. He made me feel like I was the only girl in the world. And after that, he took me shopping and bought me anything and everything that I wanted. Jewelry, purses, all these fancy clothes. He made me feel like I was a princess, like I was his everything. I thought he was so perfect, but that's how I got sucked in. I wasn't really seeing my friends or family, but I loved him, so it didn't really matter to me. And that's when we started partying more and started drinking and doing more drugs. But then the drugs started getting harder and I thought I was in control, but I guess I was wrong. It was about 2, maybe 3 months later when he started getting angry with me and saying that I owed him. By that time I'd lost my friends and family, so I couldn't really ask anyone for help. I was scared, so I did what he told me to do. I did things that I never thought I would do in my life.
You're doing awesome.
I never pictured myself living like this. People like me, they don't choose this lifestyle. It's not easy or glamorous as media can portray it to be. I hope people see this and think about the reality that people like me are in. There are so many people in Edmonton that are in the same situation as me, and I want people to have compassion for them.
Take a moment now, have some patience, for all that's coming you, coming from long, long drive underneath, coming from long, long drive underneath.
So I would now like to introduce Tanis, who is also a student with Inner City High School. Tanis is also a contributing member of the Inner City Youth Leadership Group, where she has participated in events to learn about social justice, organized a campaign to raise awareness around violence against Indigenous women and children, and she also gave her input on the Mayor's Task Force to End Poverty. She took part in our second film, entitled Man Up.
Hello, my name is Tanis. Our film is, I'm not in it, but I was behind the scenes. Yeah, basically our film, we're aiming it towards males, and pretty much because unfortunately the truth is that a lot of individuals do get sexually exploited by males, so we just want to stand up and end it. That's basically it, so here you go.
This is a message to all the guys out there. Everything is evolving around us, but some things are changing way too slowly. Pop culture too often portrays women as sex objects, and we just let it happen. Our friends share things on social media that glorify taking sexual advantage of women. Why aren't we commenting and standing up to it? We have a real problem, and it's just not right. We as men need to stop sexually exploiting women and stand together to end it. It starts with us. Would you want to see your mother, your daughter, your sister, or any other female in your life be taken advantage of? So why let it happen to somebody else's loved one? I've had enough. I want a revolution. We need to value all women as if they're our own family, not as sexual objects. Talk to your dad, your brothers, and especially your friends. Guys, we need to man the up. Do not let it slide by anymore. Be a leader. Speak up when no one else is. It starts now, Edmonton.
So much. Some very admirable young people who are bringing the messages to us. We all know that human trafficking, the act of forcing, coercing, or deceiving an individual into providing sex or labor for the personal gain of another, is an horrific abuse of human rights and one that we as Canadians cannot tolerate. There are many common myths around human trafficking that make it harder for victims to self-identify or to receive assistance. So today, ACT is launching a myth-busting infographic, and I gather there are some out there, that outlines 5 common myths and discusses the realities here in Alberta. We encourage everyone to read this and to share the infographics widely, I mean widely, but maybe wildly as well. And hard copies are available here today, and they're also on ACT's website. Weeks like this don't happen without very many partners, and a key partner to all of this is the Edmonton Police Service. Often what we see is just on the surface, and I know that some of us who've chatted with people from Vice, we know that things go a lot deeper, that things happen on chat lines, on the internet, besides the visibility of things that happen on the street. So the Edmonton Police Service is actively involved in combating sexual exploitation, and they respond to the pleas for help from families reporting missing persons and neighbors concerned. They also investigate assaults and murders and work to arrest those who recruit vulnerable persons and those who profit through pimping and human sex trafficking. I'm very happy to invite Staff Sergeant James Clover to speak out on this relationship that EPS has with the public, the NGOs, and the men and women of the sex industry. Thank you.
Councillor McKeen, Elder Tom, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for spending your lunch time with us on this important topic. For those that don't know me, I am Jamie Clover, and I am the team commander for our Vice section here with the Edmonton Police Service. I've wanted this job for a very long time, and I've only been in it a short time. And I thought maybe today what I could do is share with you some of the observations I've had. I finally got the job, and what I've seen might give you some context to the men and women of the Edmonton Police Service and our response to sexual exploitation. My small team can't be here today because they're working in the shadows, as they always do. So I want to let them know that I'm thinking about them and they're working hard today for you. The first thing I learned when I got this job, and I was warned about this piece, was attributes and biases. And I've spoken to this in many groups, and I continue to speak about that as a policeman, but also as a father and as a man, the attributes and biases that we all own. And when I came into this job, having to explore what goes on in the sex industry, what goes on with sex exploitation in the city of Edmonton and across the country, I really had to challenge myself on those biases and those attributes that I own and not cast them onto the folks that I work with. And when I say work with, I mean everybody, from the frontline sex worker all the way to public officials making public policy, and owning those attributes and recognizing that that does influence the way we do business. A second piece that I learned, and I've known this, but it's so important to coalitions like this, is language. Kate and I had an early conversation about the difference between what child prostitution is and what child exploitation is. And if you think about that, prostitution, exploitation, those are some strong words that mean different things. And if we start using the right language, we're going to start addressing the problem properly. So language becomes important. And with those two things, with attributes and language, I think what you do is foster a genuine relationship, which takes me to my third piece. The Edmonton Police Service was responsible for the enforcement and the disruption of sexual exploitation, but the reality is we can't do that alone. This is not an offense that can be done through simple arrests and convictions. This is a joint effort with everybody here. And I need to foster those relationships through attributes, through genuine language, but most importantly, that we have a shared collective belief that we can combat this, that it is worth fighting for and investing your time, money, and effort. So with that, I need to recognize my partners in the room, and I take myself as sort of to challenge you to the next level. To all my NGO partners, and there's a lot of them in here, our non-governmental groups, our community groups, the ones that work tirelessly, the ones that aren't recognized as often as maybe the Edmonton Police Service is. You need to be recognized. And I want to challenge you to find support in one another. You need to be creative in the way you tackle this problem. To our policymakers, you need to stay the course and listen to this large village of support that we've developed in the City of Edmonton. And you have to be brave with that policy and be prepared to make the right decisions to combat this issue. To our academics in the community, sometimes the ones that don't get the accolades they should, I'm going to challenge you to continue to be curious on this topic. We have a strong group of academics in the city and in this province, in this country, that are willing to spend the time, money, and effort to help us. We should be listening to them as well. To the youth, I don't really have much more to say other than keep on doing what you're doing and be loud. To the frontline policemen and women that I work with, I make a strong challenge, one that resonates across the country, is be genuine. Foster the relationships you need to with those at the frontline sex industry all the way up to the policymakers, and be genuine in the relationships you cast. That is the only way we're going to form honest relationships, is to be genuine. And for myself, as you can see, I've taken on my challenge, which is to challenge you. I can't arrest everyone in this program. I can't arrest this problem away, but I can challenge you to support and to work together so that hopefully we can make inroads in the problem we've all come forward today. The last one that I struggled with was, what would my challenge be for those that are trapped in exploitation? And again, going back to the principles of attributes and biases, I don't think I can challenge. Maybe what I can suggest, though, is to listen. Today is the day to listen to us and listen to the people that care, the people that are engaged, the people that want to help, that we are here, and we have a large community in Edmonton that wants to help. And that's probably the challenge I would give those that are trapped. Just listen, and we are there to support you when you're ready. I think all of this today strikes the vision that the Chief has for the police service, which is to make Edmonton the safest major city in Canada, and we can do that with the support that you all provide. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much. You might have noticed that a number of us here today are wearing some variation of orange. We're doing so because orange is a color often associated with freedom movements around the world. It symbolizes change, energy, and the warmth of compassion. So anti-human trafficking organizations around the world have chosen orange as their color. And in Edmonton, we stand in solidarity with these initiatives by wearing the color orange. We encourage you to wear it this week and work towards shaping a future for a city free from sexual exploitation and sex trafficking. And on that note, it's my understanding that the high-level bridge will be lit up in orange tonight. It should look spectacular, great color out in the darkness. So this is an exciting week, and I'm just going to give you a few highlights before we close. Tuesday, tomorrow, April 21st, there's an online film screening of Finding Dawn. This film illustrates the deep historical, social, and economic factors that contribute to the epidemic of violence against Native women in Canada. on Wednesday, April the 22nd. This is a free public event hosted and moderated by Councillor Scott McKeen. Will include a video showcase and hard talk panel discussion on youth perspectives and services for sexual exploitation and sex trafficking. The featured panelists include Erin Harding, Detective Kurt Pullman, Rochelle Venn, Kim York, Tanis McGilvery, and Martina Labakan. And on Thursday, April the 23rd, there's an online film screening of Buying Sex. This film explores the state of prostitution laws in Canada. It challenges us to think for ourselves and offers a gripping and invaluable account of what is at stake for all of us. If you missed any of what I just said, you can visit the Reach Edmonton website at reachedmonton.ca for any of the details. So that's reachedmonton.ca. We really do appreciate you taking your time out of a busy day to be with us. We hope that you have a good week and have a time to reflect and to try and make a difference on this very important issue. Thank you.